from evil paths, change our life to come bless us. Through our leaders, great defender, and to wisdom from above. We was born Jamaica, 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 land we love. Okay. Whoa. Wow. Give it. Why are you still standing? We're going to have the dollar sign is showing. We're going to have a minute silence. And we're going to ask Raymond Duncan to ring the bell when the minute is up. We start counting from now. Mr. Thompson, that was really touching and very nice to hear those words from you. Now, the next speaker will be someone that worked with Mike, played football with Mike, played tennis with Mike. It's no other than Dave Morgan. Dave Morgan. Let's give him another hand.
All right. Yes. Greetings, everybody. The first thing I want to say is I can't believe how warm I have been greeted this afternoon. It is many years since I left Titchfield and did academic work elsewhere, but I really do appreciate the years I spent in Titchfield. And I'm even nice to know that some of my Jamaican family have Titchfield connections, and we continue to keep the name high in our family. Now, I want to just say something about Mike. I arrived in Titchfield in 1971 under Mortimer Geddes, and one of the first persons to greet me was a fellow Englishman who had been here 2, 3, or 4 years before me, called Mike Foulston. And he rarely stepped outside of his chemistry lab because he spent so much time dealing with students. And we did become friends because there are other hours outside school time. And somebody a few minutes ago hinted that Mike did have another side to him, and that was he was a sportsman, a good cricketer, but an even better footballer. And I would like to give you just one anecdote about his football. We were playing football at Carter Park, where Mike was a big centre half. He was not a small man, he was a big man. And then after a while of play, the referee took out his yellow card and booked him. And Mike obviously wanted to know why. Why have you booked me? What did I do wrong? And the referee said, "You tackled too hard." Now, another little anecdote I want to give you concerns academia. You know, Mike was a chemist and I was a mathematician, and we rarely discussed our various subject areas. But like all teachers, we discuss students. But one day, I said to Mike, me and a lot of other members of staff have spent at least 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years being trained to be a teacher. You were never trained to be a teacher. You came here straight out of academic work in England, that's his chemistry, and became teaching here. And I said, Mike, why do we have to be trained and you didn't, and you're doing so well? And he said to me, I made sure that I didn't make any of the mistakes that the people who taught me. Well, I thank you for your welcome. I've given you a couple of stories about Mike. He was a close friend, And we are sorry to see him go. He did some very, very good work here, as you are here to celebrate. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Oh, things that we didn't know. Next in line, we have Annette Clayton. A very special student of Titchfield and worked very closely with Mike. Let's give her another hand, Annette.
I'm going to read. I don't have that good a memory. Can you hear me? Okay. Are you hearing me better? Oh, okay. My fellow past and present high schoolers and our friends, always one Titch. And as the kids add nowadays, never two. It is an incredible honor to be here. My pride as a Titchfielder runs generations deep and wide. Today, in particular, I'm proud of Titchfield, for we gave Mike Foulston flowers while he lived to enjoy them. So that we're gathered here after his passing is not an attempt to make good on what we should have done when he was with us. We're simply here to celebrate a life very well lived. I've been asked to remember Mike Foulston in his role as form teacher, and to do so, I'm going to tell you a story entitled How Mike Foulston Became Our Personal Hero and How We Became Mike Foulston's World. Let's go. One of the highest tributes that I can pay to Mike is that even as a mentor and a guide to our young, impressionable minds, Mike Foulston did not expect us to model him. He guided us to be the best version of who we were as individuals. He coached us to find who we were and to become it in our own way. Let's unpack, pardon me, let's unpack Mike Foulston's MO. Mike enhanced our innate abilities to succeed, to fly, to dream big, to achieve, not to accept mediocrity, and importantly, to recognize that there were no limits. He respected who we were as individuals, and we soared. How we soared. Let's call a thing a thing. Mike Foulston became our form teacher in 1971. He had been in Jamaica for 4 years, but nevertheless, he remained in our teenage eyes a British white man from a very urban culture, vastly different from ours. Picture it, straight from the bricks, straight from the bricks and pavements of an English city life to a high school with a beach, no less, in a small rural town in Jamaica. Come to think of it, there was potential for the challenges of Windrush in reverse. So, form teachers and students, who were we? Well, one thing's for sure, we were a far cry from anything he was used to. And for us, his approach was certainly new to any classroom as we knew it. As our form teacher, he faced a class of well read, opinionated kids, big afros like Michael Jackson, hip, outspoken, yes, respectful, but definitely not saints. Bright, subtle. We were good kids, and even if given to drama and adventure, and like any typical Jamaican then and now, nobody never more than we, including this crop of British teachers, of which Mike Foulston was one. And here's where the beauty and the magic began. Although we were worlds apart, we were open to each other. The school got to see Mike Foulston, the awesome chem teacher. However, as our form teacher, we got to see Mike Foulston close up and personal. Quick memory from Theone Holly Holgate. Mike Foulston was not a traditional form teacher. He believed in values rather than rules. He was always in class before us, regardless of how early we were. He would sit at the back of the class to mark the register. I remember. It's true, Holly talking. Symbolically seated at the back of the class, teacher and students all looking in the same direction, together and forward. And that's how we started each day, bonding. As form teacher, he ran a tight ship, but in a manner that you did not feel constrained. He modeled excellence, laid back, smiling but firm. He normalized appreciation of punctuality, using your time wisely, accountability to yourself first, but also to others. He normalized knowing that you could and would get good grades for the most part if you tried. Yet he gave us grace to make mistakes. After all, we were teenagers. So we all know what's expected from a form teacher, to be a connector between the student, the home, and the school. Note attendance, monitor grades and behavior, and importantly, to build the culture of the class. Did our form culture, nurtured by Mike Foulston, facilitate learning, personal growth, form camaraderie? Did the form's culture work for our favor? Dr. Emarcia Hill, now, June back then, once dubbed by another teacher as a maverick, as she did not conform to imposed constrictors, says, Mike Foulston's lessons profoundly shaped my life. Be productive. Take your chemistry book to the bathroom with you. Upon transition to sixth form, he advised, forget everything you know. This is going to be different. Mike was not one to tell us outright the life decisions that we should make, but he surely got us there. One such story is told by Kegas, as we called him then, although now he's better known as Dr. Jimmy Brown. Jimmy remembers a turning point that directed him to a life of academia. It was the day that Mr. Foulston welcomed Jimmy, who was leaning towards the arts, to his organic chemistry class. This after Jimmy had confided his secret passion for medicine the day before. Who knew back then what was to follow? Big things for Jimmy Brown. But don't think we were pressured, all pressured to choose science. Mike led us to choose excellence in our field, our choice. To get a little personal, I was in an A science stream. That's what it was called back then. But I had little love for the sciences. As form teacher, Mike taught me an invaluable lesson. I could do whatever I wanted, I needed to achieve. And I did. I passed my science subjects. He knew, though, that the arts were where my heart was. And as form teacher, he made sure I got there to facilitate my dreams. No heat, no pressure, no regrets. Conversely, Dr. Marlene Malcolm credits Mike's influence on her choosing a career in science over the arts, which, like Jimmy, she had leaned towards initially. In short, Mike Foulston guided us to our best and happiest. Ian Buchanan recalls how protective he was to his form teachers, form students. There was a class party, Buck recalls, and an outsider wanted to come into the room to partake of the fun. Mr. Foulston blocked the door with his body and answered the young man's repeated requests. Excuse me, with, what have you done? Excuse me, what have you done? And they kept on saying this until the young man got the party crasher got the message and left the room. And we were left to enjoy our party without intruders. With Mike, you were always in a safe place. We could be vulnerable. No fear of him embarrassing us for dreaming big. I remember Mikey dreaded the control Campbell, speller to us. The test tube, he had his test tube in hand and was screaming he had discovered a new law in chemistry. And without blowing his giant bubble in front of his classmates, Mike gently reassured him otherwise. Remember Radio Titchfield? Born of trial and innovations, not fear. And he was so funny. As house captain, thanks to Ian Buchanan, who reminded me that Mr. Foulston was in Sherlock House, just like Ian and me. One sports day, I decided to participate in every event and gain at least 1 point just for finishing. When Mike saw me at the finish line of a long distance race, he dramatically put away his stopwatch and said he was going for a calendar to time my laps. All in good humor. Needless to say, I came dead last, but Mike was cheering me for setting a good example. Mr. Foulston was patient. Wilbert Hutchinson recalls he was one of the most patient teachers I had. If we didn't understand a concept, he He was always ready to help, even outside of his subject area. He was truly selfless and represented some of the best qualities in humanity. Laws of chemistry define the relationship between energy and transformations, symbolic. This chemistry teacher, our form teacher for 3 years, cultivated the energy of his students and helped to transform lives. We were not unique. All of us who had the pleasure of the treasure of Mike Foulston as a form teacher will remember him with more than passing fondness. We adored him. Mike Foulston was our foreign-born, homegrown blessing. We give thanks for the day that he chose to spend many of his best years here with us on our personal, private peninsula here at Titchfield High, where we lived by our motto, virtue and learning. As form teacher, Mike ignited curiosity, fostered confidence, built character. We remember Mike Foulston with deep love and profound gratitude. One Foulston, one Titch, one love.
I just want everyone just to have a look at this young lady. I believe her school uniform will still fit. And someone being taught by Mike in the early 70s, she looks so well.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, and thank you for such a wonderful tribute. I purposely made the longer tributes at the beginning so that, well, I'm glad that Annette was able to come all the way from Kingston to give her tribute. She will be going home very shortly by transport. We're gonna jazz it up a bit of Bob Marley, One Love. Everyone's gonna sing. Do you all know it? No. Let's stand. Because Mike did show us love. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Let's stay. Yes. Okay. I I think because of lack of words, someone that knows the song, please come up here. Okay. One more time. Even just the chorus. 1, 2, 3. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. That's better. Well done. Give yourself a hand. You may be seated. I have a young man. He wore number 9, and I wore number 10. One of Mike's students. I'll also ask Mr. Edison Chin just to come and stand with him as Morris gives his tribute. And no, just say hello.
Oh, hello.
Where's Morris? Again.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. James. Okay. Do you recognize this young man?
I'm just here to take a picture with her, right? and I just support these guys who are in my class.
Okay. Okay. One of you.
Do what? What are you doing?
Say something.
You want to get picture right now?
Say something. Okay.
All right.
Before you can stand, Steve, stand up here. When Mike was having problems with the yes, when Mike was having trouble with the pacemaker, I said, Mike, I'm going to call one of your students to talk to you. And I gave Norman his number. And I think by Norman encouraging him, gave him an extra 2 years. He felt so good that a former student was there to encourage him. So let's give Dr. Norman Allen.
Yeah, thank you very much. I didn't have to wear glasses in the days, and these two guys here, Morris and Eddie, were my inspirers, helped me out a lot at Titchfield. I was from the country. These guys were from the city, the town boys, you know. So they had to teach me. But anyhow, today we pause to honor the life of Mr. Mike Foulston, remarkable educator, quiet pillar of dedication, and a man whose legacy will endure far beyond his years. More than 6 decades ago, he answered a simple call, an advertisement to teach in Jamaica, and what followed was extraordinary. In choosing Jamaica, he found not just a place of work, but a home, and all of us know that. He gave generations of students far more than lessons in chemistry. He gave them discipline, curiosity, encouragement, and belief in their own potential. He even paid their fees and give them lunch money. Mr. Foulston was very humble, steadfast, devoted. Even after retirement, he never truly left the classroom because the students never retired him. His influence lived on in their achievements, their character, their memories of a teacher who gave his all. He was especially known for his chemistry notes that we all benefit from. And they were seen throughout or sent throughout the island, inspiring students not only at Titchfield, but from other schools. I had the privilege of knowing him before I entered Titchfield because my sister Maureen taught alongside him for a period of time. And I came to appreciate his dedication long before experiencing it firsthand. He was also a familiar figure beyond the school grounds, particularly Boston Beach, that near to where I live, because he would come there and spend the whole day swimming from left to right. Yeah. His association with the school bus led some to mistake him for the principal, Mr. Martin Geddes, a reflection of how closely he was identified with the school he loved. Yeah. He was born in England, but a Jamaican by heart. He embodied service and belonging. He was also active in athletics. He was my trainer sometimes. He was a reliable defender, and Eddie can vouch for that. Mr. Morgan even mentioned that. And he was fully engaged in school life. He was a discus teacher. Philip can tell you that. He was a track coach. He did everything for us. Now, I have some reflections from some other past students. My brother, Professor Upton Allen, he's couldn't make it today. Mr. Foulston's contributions in chemistry education transformed lives and transcend generations of students. A truly remarkable person. Now, this from Ms. Camille Lee, who supported Mr. Foulston during his visit to Jamaica, reflected he was always grateful for his kindness and support of friends here, and his presence left a lasting impression on all of us. His dedication, humility, and warmth will never be forgotten. Mr. Foulston leaves behind a flawless legacy etched in the hearts of countless students, colleagues, and friends. His life was one of purpose, service, and quiet excellence. A life well lived, contribution immeasurable. Rest in peace, sir. You're truly appreciated and you'll never be forgotten. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. The stars from Five Science. Then went on to UE and various other institutions, and we thank God that they are a light amongst the Titchfield past students. I want everyone to look at that building round the back. And I'm sure Mr. Thompson wouldn't mind if we could do something to give it a facelift. As Dr. Allen said, as many professors have come out of that room. Many doctors, many in the medical field has come out of that room. And truly, we need to give it a facelift. So amongst the past students, we're going to talk and liaise with the headmaster that that building will have to have a facelift. Are you with me? Thank you. We got a young lady by the name of Dormarie Roberts. Followed by Herbert Broccoli. Let's give her a hand.
Good evening, my fellow students and friends, colleagues. Mr. Mike Foulston, the educator. Mr. Foley, as he was popularly called, came to Titchfield from England in September 1968 and served at the school as a chemistry and physics teacher for over 30 years. Many of us had contact with him, whether in the classroom or on the playground at the school. During my time at Titchfield, while I was in third form, each student we were introduced to all the subjects. So sometimes we had to do either 14 or 15 subjects in third form. So therefore, at some time during our education at Titchfield, we had to come in contact with Mr. Foley. He was an excellent educator and was very professional at his job. He was rather strict and ensured that each student who came to the chemistry or physics lab abide by the rules of the science labs. Because of Mike Foulston, for many years, Titchfield had outstanding passes in chemistry and physics. Many of our doctors and physicians here in Jamaica and in the diaspora can give credit to the input of Mr. Foulston in their career. During our student years at Titch Standing Service to Titchfield and the community of Port Antonio, there was also a plan and preparation in place to honor this great humanitarian during our 240th anniversary this week, taking place this week at the school. Unfortunately, death called him and he had to go. The fond memories of Michael Foulston will continue to live on in our lives. Rest in peace, Mike. Your memories will live on forever.
Thank you, Dawn Marie. Next in line, Herbert Buckley.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Everybody, there's not much more that can be said has not been said. Mr. Foulston, a remarkable person, remarkable individual. I didn't have the distinct pleasure of having him as my chemistry teacher. However, he was our house leader, Sherlock House. And so, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So because of those circumstances, I ended up spending quite a bit of time with Mr. Foulston. I was not one of the more physically imposing individuals as far as athletics was concerned. But I remember Mr. Foulston spending significant time with me, trying to get me to be able to throw the discus, right? It was a tremendous effort on his part. Needless to say, I was able to overcome my fears and gained enough technique to place third, which for me is a whole lot of an achievement. But besides from that, Mr. Foulston was the first person I saw process a black and white print in the chemistry lab. When I was in second form, I started with the camera club. And that was instrumental in my being able to pursue photography for many years with Royal Caribbean. Mr. Foulston gave me my start. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
Thank you, Herbert. We're coming down now, but we have a young lady. We call her Mum. She was head girl. Do anyone know who he is? Cheryl.
Just to help.
Okay. As she comes along, just a quick announcement. Those of you that are using your phones, please could you put it on airplane mode because it's interfering with the reception of this recording. I now present to you Mum. Head girl and teacher, Cheryl. Beckford. Scott.
Okay. Oh boy, Roy is something else. Hello, my Titchfield family. It is such a joy to be here. And we're here to celebrate Mike Foulston. What a great man he was. There are many common threads that will emerge today about Mr. Foulston. So you know we're not telling any lie. He was the real deal. I recall sitting in that classroom at the end over there when I saw these two new expatriate teachers coming across. They were walking in that direction. One was Mr. Foulston, I later learned, and one was Mr. Jones. A year later, I had the pleasure of being in Mr. Foulston's chemistry class. Now, I must confess, I was not a naturally bright student. One of my teachers referred to me as a plodder, meaning I never gave up. It took me longer to do certain things, but I got there. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that I would not have had the success I had if it wasn't for Mr. Foulston. Imagine me doing O and A level chemistry and being successful. It was only him. Mr. Foulston was such a caring man, and he knew his students, and he knew me well. He knew that I wanted to be a teacher. And I remember in my senior year, one day after class, we were talking. And, you know, he had that he didn't want you to feel like you were, you know, for want of a better word, dumb. I wasn't dumb, but I wasn't a science student, and he could identify that. And that's one of the qualities of Mr. Foulston. He was he knew. And he told me about the technical education course at the College of Art, the then CAST, and encouraged me to apply. And I did. And I'm telling you, he was right on the money. He knew what he was talking about. After graduating from CAST, I had the distinct pleasure of being on staff with him for 8 years. And it was wonderful. Now, I've never heard of Mr. Foulston going to church or expressing or sharing his religious beliefs. However, he certainly lived his life by the fruits of the Spirit, as found in Galatians 5:22-23. He displayed love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. We're all here to honor him, and we can do so by carrying on his legacy and living as he lived. We're all spread all over the world, and we can influence, think of ourselves as little tributaries going out with him being the main branch, the main source. We can do it. We can change the world by even helping, being kind, being, attentive, just giving back to even one other person. And it's amazing what we can do. I quote from the great Bob Marley: "The greatness of a man is not how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively." There's absolutely no doubt that this world is a better place because Michael Foulston lived. Rest in peace, Mr. Fouley, and may you rise in glory.
She was preaching. And that's a very fit scripture to choose. He did have the fruits of the Spirit. And thank you. And thank you for being here. Being our head girl. Praise the Lord. Right. I want to introduce you to some young men, and one of them is going to give a speech for about 3 people. Can the members of Friends of Titchfield please come up to the front here, please? Sharon? Sharon? Come on. Alia?
Avia is not going to come. Don't embarrass a poor girl.
Okay. So, where's Hugh?
Hugh is at the back somewhere.
Hugh, come. I'd just like to thank these young men. There were times that we would take a motorcade to go and visit Mike. Mike did not live in London, and it took us half a day to get there. And so all the young ladies would cook. Even Raymond was a very good cook. Curry goat, escovitch fish, jerk chicken, and we would bring groceries, bun and cheese, and you could see that he missed the Jamaican cooking. That he couldn't wait for us to leave to finish it off. I brought my daughter up here because she was struggling in chemistry. And Mike secretly spoke to her. And she got an A. And she passed 10, all A's and B's, but chemistry, she did very well. And she was very sad that when Mike went, that she didn't believe me. Well done, Alia. So we got Raymond Duncan's got a few tributes from abroad.
So I first of all want to bring greetings from Friends of Titchfield, UK. A lot of us can't be here. Actually, Jackie, you should have come up to you now. Anyway, but as Roy said, we were close contact with Mr. Foulston, called him regularly. Holly, who couldn't be here, who's one of the tributes I'll read out, would speak to him every week, and she was the one who broke the news to me, and I then forwarded it to other people and stuff like that. So I've got 3 tributes to read on behalf of persons in England. Mostly it's friends who were teachers here with him. The first one is from Jim Standen, who came to Titchfield in 1978. Said, when my wife Maureen and I arrived at Titchfield in August 1978 to teach modern languages and mathematics, there were 2 questions everyone at the school, both staff and students, were asking. When will we get a timetable so that we can start? Yes, there was no timetable. Anyone know when Mr. Foulston's coming back? We were intrigued. Why all this interest in a mysterious Englishman called Foulston? When Mike did arrive, we soon found out why his return mattered so much. The place just started to work better as we witnessed the huge respect and influence he had in both the staff room and the classrooms. We lived on Titchfield Hill and were lucky enough to have Mike as a neighbor. As we got to know him better, we benefited greatly from his knowledge of Titchfield School, gained over many years of inspired and inspiring teaching. There are many stories that I could tell you to illustrate my character. However, I will limit myself to 2. First, I soon discovered that both Mike and I enjoyed playing tennis and that we were of similar standard. Once or twice a week, we would sneak onto the Trident Hotel tennis courts across the road and play a couple of sets. It will come as no surprise that Mike's sportsmanship was huge, generous, and positive. He was always complimentary when I managed a rare half decent shot, even if it was pure luck. As for balls that were close to the line, Mike would say, if I can't be 100% confident the ball was out, then it is in. I wish McEnroe learned that. One issue we both faced was that at the time, there was nowhere to buy tennis balls in Port Antonio. We soon realized that when tourists accidentally hit balls into the bushes around the courts, they were reluctant to venture into the thick and prickly undergrowth. Mike and I were made of stronger stuff, and so we would regular rummage through the tickets and end up with a constant supply of balls, albeit of various brands and colors. Another story is from when I became vice principal in 1981. I leaned heavily on Mike's advice and wisdom. We used to walk down to the bar on the other side of the market once my two young babies were asleep. We would have two, always two, never three, red stripes, and chat about the latest challenge I was facing. One night while we were at the bar, a commotion broke out between a man and a lady. The man was shouting at her. I turned towards Mike to say, let's not get involved, but he wasn't beside me. Then I noticed there was complete silence in the bar. Silence I'd never before witnessed. I saw Mike standing next to this previously shouting man's arms crossed, face passive and silent, in a pose similar to those who had seen him watch football at Carter Park or stand by the beach looking out at Navy Island. When the man said, I'm leaving, Mike acknowledged, with a slight nod of his head, that this would be a good idea. The man left and the noise returned. Mike had a commanding presence and he had in huge abundance. That's what we were witnessing back when we first got to the school in 1978, even when he wasn't there. The titles legend or unique are often overused to describe certain people. However, when we consider the teachers in history of Titchfield High School, Mike's generosity, his knowledge, and his willingness to share it with the children he taught are without parallel. May his soul of the legendary and unique Mr. Mike Foulston rest in peace forever. This is a tribute from Holly Allgate. Those of you who know my relationship with Mike know that I would talk forever and a day and would just be getting started. But I will try to make this short and hopefully sweet the way Mike would have liked it. Let me start with a quote. A teacher affects eternity. He never knows where his influence ends. This quote is attributed to Henry Adams, but I believe it was written for Mike. Mike came into my life in September 1968 when he joined Titchfield teaching staff. Like most of my schoolmates, he didn't take me long to realize that here was a unique individual. During my life's journey with Mike, he has been my chemistry teacher, my form teacher, my mentor, my colleague, and a very treasured friend. Fast forward to over 5 decades, and I'm still lucky enough to have this extraordinary person as a central part of my life. We have graduated to me sending him regular care packages when we were both in the UK and at least one phone call per week, even when we were in different parts of the world. During one of these conversations, he tells me how much he misses Akis when he's away from Jamaica and bemoans the fact that he cannot find any. I said, Mike, you won't find any in Devon, but I will send you some. He said, well, what about the saltfish? I had a little laugh and replied, you won't find that in Devon either, and the preparation is too complicated for you. Both of us had a laugh about this, and then I gave him instructions to cook his akis with bacon. Subsequent to this, and much of his delight, every care package would contain Akis. When I got the sad news that my cherished friend had moved on from his place, I decided to try to capture him in a little poem. I had to laugh, and I could see and hear Mike in my head saying, Ollie, you're going to write me a poem? Then he would smile his secret smile, turn his head to the right, and raise it ever so slightly the way he always does. The sentiments I've expressed here are sure to be shared by most, if not all of you present here today. A poem for Mike. He surrounded us with love, guided us with care, sheltered us from harm, and defended us from injustice. He never married, never had children, yet he raised generations of children and has a family so large that it stretches across the world. We are Mike's children. We are his legacy. Sleep in peace, my dear friend, forever and always in my heart. Holly Holgate. Right, one last one. Sorry, you've probably heard enough of me already, but this is from David Playford, who was a PE teacher at Titchfield in 1968. It was in September 1968 when Jen and myself started teaching phys ed and coaching some school teams at Titchfield. And it was not long before we met Mike for the first time. Although he returned to the UK 3 years later, at the end of our contract, Mike stayed on and on and on and on and on, returning to the UK every summer, but always traveling back to Portland and the place he called home. Despite being a long way from each other for much of the year, our friendship endured, and always, every year, we met with him at least once. In recent years, as Mike's health and mobility declined, we often met several times a year, and every time our meetings followed the same line as we talked first all about sport in general and then everything about Titchfield. The stories were the same every time, with one of us saying, do you remember when so and so did this or that? And then the other one of us would finish off the story. When Mike was not at Titchfield School or in the local library helping his students, he was always at the beach. But I don't think any of you would have heard the story of Mike's pink shorts. Within a few months of us starting at Titchfield, Mike appeared at our house in Allen Avenue, now the Mormon Church, carrying a bag of washing. He told Jill that he had done this weekly washing, but things hadn't gone to plan, and his lovely beach shorts had turned a bright pink in color. And how could he possibly ever go to the beach wearing anything, wearing shorts that color? Luckily, Jill was very proficient at such matters, and after a couple more washes and a bag of dye, Mike's fabulous shorts were soon back to an acceptable color once more. Our other most remembered story was when Mike played football in the local football league match at Buff Bay against the local team. In the absence of a referee, I took the whistle and all went well until the last few minutes when I awarded Titchfield a penalty from which Titchfield scored to win the match. I could sense trouble brewing, so I had a word with Mike, who quietly told the boys that the next time the ball went out of play, I was going to blow the final whistle, at which point everyone was to sprint to the minibus as quickly as they could. That was exactly what happened with the Titchfield team being far quicker than the locals, who were in hot pursuit. Everyone got in the minibus, the doors were locked, and off we went. Unfortunately, the locals took a shortcut to the end of the road, and by the time we got to the bridge, on the way back to Port Antonio, we were met with a hail of bottles, sticks, stones, and everything else that could be thrown at us. We had won the match, we outran them at the final whistle, and we escaped Buff Bay without any harm. A triple victory, although I made sure I never stopped in Buff Bay again. I last saw Mike only a few months ago, and we talked about Titchfield for several hours. After a wonderful friendship lasting 57 years, we have plenty to talk about, but his health was obviously failing, and it was not a great surprise when I heard of his passing. Goodbye, my dear friend. a lovely man who will forever be remembered in Titchfield and around Port Antonio. David Playford.
The famous Ray Duncan. Famous Michael Smith. Hugh Barnett. Ralph Cooper. I call their names because when Mike and especially Hugh would be the ringleader in terms of the motorcade, going all the way. And I thank you for your help and support. It's the first time I've ever been chauffeured. I've always been doing the driving. But no, thank you very much. Just give them a hand. There are more in the congregation, but they're too shy. Headmaster, Mr. Lincoln Thaxter. He's now got a special title in Port Antonio. There's a fly around it. Let's give him another hand.
Thank you. It's just because Roy is my good friend why I'm going to say something this evening. And also because I have the utmost respect for Mike Foulston. I do not have the benefit of preparation unlike the others, so I am going to be of necessity very brief. Mike and I came to Titchfield the same year, in 1968. And my classroom, like that of Ian and Annette, was just beside the chemistry lab. Over the years, I got to know him very well. In fact, when I became a member of staff, as a young teacher, we were neighbors on the hill. And we would exchange many, many pleasantries on various things. In fact, we were both bachelors, and we would meet up at several spots that bachelors do meet up. Let me be very careful. They were not X-rated places, but we would share a few drinks. And oftentimes we would meet at the beach on a weekend, maybe because both of us had nothing else to do. But it was a relaxing moment. Mike really, everything really has been said about him already. So I'm just going to finish by saying that he has impacted the lives of so many persons in this room, in this parish, and in this world. And truly, he has left a tremendous example for all of us to follow, and a life of commitment and sacrifice to emulate. To give you a bit of the measure of the man, I think it was in 1994, about a year into my principalship here, I was invited by my students to a function in New York, and at which a plaque was given to me to hand over to Mike Foulston on my return. When I came back, I took the plaque to the lab and I said to him, Mike, the old students have asked me to give this to you in honor of your services and the wonderful things that you have accomplished in their lives. And he thanked me. Then I said to him, I have a suggestion. Next General Assembly, I am going to invite you up to the auditorium and I will make a public presentation on their behalf to you. His response was, Lincoln, it doesn't concern them. He would have none of it. That was, and he took his plaque and put it somewhere in the back or so on. But he was appreciative of it, I must tell you. But he was not that effusive about public recognition. His mark was always made quietly, with vigor and with distinction. We will miss him.
During Mr. Thaxter's reign as headmaster, Mike Foulston gave us a shopping list, you remember? And he was not selfish. He went to every member of staff to see what we could send by ship to help the school. And Mike also worked with a teacher called Brian Pascal. And what happened is that Brian called our group and said, there's a school closing and they got brand new test tubes and science equipment. Get your van here. And those of you who don't know, in those days, they used to have to hire equipment to do exams. So students were very good with the theory side, but they weren't used to having their own equipment. And we shipped down 10 barrels the first time with brand new science equipment. And that year, so many went to UE. So we've worked with all the headmasters, even the current one now. Let us work together. Let us help our students that are going through such hardship at times, but they have the brain. Let us love one another, other people's children, just like Mike. Mike made a difference. He made a difference. You too can make a difference. Can I get a hand? If everybody abroad or otherwise foreign could give us $10 each, there's so many of us out there, we could help the school do a lot more. Most of the work is done by the same people every year. And so we must, let's help our school. We want the best of them. The school, as afterwards, the cafeteria, or otherwise known as the talk shop, especially open for you. Bring back memories of you ordering your various food stuff. Afterwards, the photographer wants those who went to school in the 70s to have a group picture. Those who went to school in the 80s, 90s, group picture.
Look at me.
Huh?
The 60s no. I went there in 68.
Okay. Those of you that were in the 60s, you did graduate in the 70s.
That's right. That's right. Yes. That's right.
Okay?
Huh? Yes.
Okay. So we will be taking pictures afterwards. There's a young lady by the name of Lorna. Thank you. She's itching to say something. Such a lovely lady. She helped in the planning of this 240th anniversary. So let's give her a big hand.
Good evening, everyone. I am going to be very, very short. You have all heard the wonderful things about Mr. Foulston. Some of you have experienced it. Some of you have just heard it. There may be some of you who, even though they haven't said it, experienced him giving swimming lessons. Mr. Foulston has done about every single solitary thing at Titchfield. And I would like to share with you that after his days of his official teaching duties of Titchfield ended and he had to leave the schoolhousing, he went to live with Mrs. Camille Williams Lee in Dolphin Bay. And I had hoped that she would have sent the tribute because then you would hear the fun side. So I can't tell you the little stories that would make you laugh, but I would like to share with you the real heart of Mr. Foulston and how after he left his teaching capacity at Titchfield and his devotion to Jamaica and Titchfield, that he would go back to England and work as a garbage collector so he could get money, his 6 months, to come back to Jamaica and give of his time and his talent freely to the children of Port Antonio by giving all those lessons, by instructing all those kids. And so, to follow up with Roy, I'm here to say we need you to recognize that you also can give freely. And it doesn't have to be a lot. But if each person could give in Mr. Foulston's name, maybe we could have a lab at Titchfield that our students don't have to go to UWI to use their lab. If we could all contribute, we could make a difference. Yes, so think of Michael Foulston, and I thank you. Did that come from Mr. Thompson? Was that you, Mr. Thompson? Who said that? Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to wait for Mr. Thompson to say that one. But whether they change the name of the lab or not, we know that we can provide all the instruments and the capacity for our students to excel in the same Michael Foulston fashion at Titchfield High School. Thank you.
Isn't she lovely? Is Dr. Shirley, Carlene Shirley here? No? Oh, okay. I notice also that the class of 86 is very quiet. So can you please come? But before Doctor speaks, I want to acknowledge all those watching this memorial online. Let's give them a hand. I can imagine how difficult it must have been not getting any sleep, those that are 6 hours ahead. But thank you for coming online and watching this wonderful memorial service for Mike Foulston. Dr. Shirley.
Good afternoon, everyone. When I looked around, I didn't recognize most persons, but then coming to the mic, I saw two of my classmates, and it's a really ecstatic feeling. I'm supposed to be bringing a tribute on behalf of my favorite teacher, Mr. Mike Foulston. Here goes. We met when I was in 4th Science. This tall, white man with an English accent. Now, we're not used to English accents at that time, but we knew the Guyanese accent, so we were okay. It took us a little while, but we got used to it. I was very shy to the point where I wouldn't talk. But his caring personality and inclusive nature pulled out the best in me. I began raising my hand. I was selected. And then I started asking questions. I started answering questions that he asked. I started critiquing my classmates' answer. And yes, I also challenged his answers. But I wasn't usually right. I was rarely correct, but he was proud. And I was happy because I was thinking critically, and that's what he needed. Now, everybody in the class had an alias. I am seeing Christopher. His last name is Benjamin, so he was naturally Benji. My name is Colleen Shirley. What did you think he called me? You would never guess it. I was girly. And then I had a friend, her name was Karine Mitchell. What did you think he called her? Mitchie. And so we all knew our aliases were really called by our government names, and we were happy. Now, we were always in the chem lab. For those from way back when, 4 science was right here and 5 science was right next door to the chem lab. So we were always, put that in quotation, let's say thought we school other classes, in the chemistry lab. Because when we had a free time, the chemistry lab was our place and there was a room for us. It wasn't in the chem lab, it was in the prep room. And inside that room was a table that we called the posterity table. Most persons wrote their names on it or carved their names on it. No, I couldn't do that because I was told that marking furniture in the school was a detention offense and I didn't want any detention. So even though we were given permission, I didn't bother to mark it. But if you go there now, you wouldn't see any of the names. Now here is something that lasted and is still lasting. These words were spoken to a fellow classmate of mine. She got some answers wrong, and she was there begging and begging to be awarded mark, and she begged and she begged and she begged. Now, Mr. Foulston, for the very first time, I've seen him annoyed. He got annoyed with the students and said to her, "Don't beg," in a nice way. And then he said something else. I will not tell you what else he said, but I'll tell you what I learned from it. I learned that hard work brings success. And so my mantra, since I heard that, is that quotations, it's not who is going to let me, but who is going to stop me. And I have lived by that. I do not beg for things most times. I work really hard. What I beg for, though, is for things for the chemistry lab and the bio lab and the physics lab, because I happen to be the head of the department. So my principal will tell you that that is what I beg for. And I'm happy that some persons have already asked for things for us, because we know that with your promise, we will sure get these things. And so the lab will be up to scratch. We do go to US sometime to do some mass spectrometry. We don't have that here, and it assists the students. And so if you will help us even more with a few wood and some other things, we'll be really happy. A few projectors will do well. About 10 projectors, we'll take those too. All right, so I continue. Homework was aplenty. We always had a worksheet, always. No, here's this quiet student, very quiet, but I did my work. So I went home and I spent time to do the worksheet, and I confidently submitted it to Sir Fully. expecting to get, those big red ticks because he liked big ticks. I expected that. No. When I got back my work, what I saw were these words in big red letter. RUBBISH. Rubbish. And my ego was bruised, very bruised. Because here I was thinking that I did the work and got 100, but this man wrote rubbish. And I said, all right, back to the drawing board. So I went back and looked at what I wrote. I did the research again. I did the calculations over and I gave it back the work. Well, Timmy this time, but I gave back because I got it wrong and he expected me to give it back. This time I saw the big red ticks, big smiles. And at the end of that, I saw good job. Now, what that did for a student like me was to confirm in my head that I am able to do anything in chemistry. Suffice it to say, I got a grade A. Sir Fully was selfless. Our academic well-being was his delight, but our physical, social, and other beings' well-beings were just as important. He normally run our notes, stencil them and run them off, so we didn't have to write in class. You don't write in class, you tend to doze off a bit because all you're doing is listening and watching and working sometimes, because most of the work was done at home on the worksheets, right? So he was kind enough to note when we were dozing off or most of us were sleeping. So he would give us a little 5 minutes to rest. And that was important because at the end of the rest time, we were alert again and we could always follow him. He also helped us financially. I got help many a times, help to buy lunch, help for some medical expenses, help with exams. He was that sort of a person I am forever indebted and forever grateful. Even after he left Titchfield, he would send me a postcard from his vacation spot and address it to Girly. Since he gave a lot more than he took, and he fixed much more than he broke, he was kind and helped many strangers in the rain. There's a place for people like him. He walked with his heart on his sleeve. He became the change he wanted to see. He gave himself academically, financially, and personally so others could be saved. There's a place in our hearts for Sir Fully. Sleep on, great one. Sleep on, best chem teacher ever. A candle who consumed himself to ensure the success of his students. Rest well, Sir Fully, always in our hearts.
Thank you, Dr. Shirley. That's what I'm talking about. Someone made a difference that we can stand here and call her Dr. Colleen Shirley. We have to come down now, but the class of 86, please come forward. Even though one of you is going to speak, but you all come together. Or 84. No one come in? Okay. Don't forget, we will be taking pictures afterwards. Different decades. Please make sure you're in this picture so that when many of us are in our armchair, we can say, I was there. We're going to stand. I'm sure when you was in Sunday school, we used to sing, "It Soon Be Done." You all know it? Oh, okay. Yes. It soon be done. All troubles and trials. When I get home on the other side, I'm going to shake. I'm going to tell. I'm going to. I'm going to do some actions now. It soon be done. Shake somebody's hand. When I get home on the other side, I'm going to. We're going to tell God's people good morning. We're going to sit down beside. Yes, one more time. It soon be done. Oh, yes. When I get home, I'm going to shake the elders. Sit down beside me. Amen. And I believe that one day we'll shake Mike's hand. He's done too much good to be left out. To conclude, we have the energetic vice principal. I can't pronounce her name, Miss Hornmere. She helped to set out the seats. So let's give her a big hand. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Please be seated. So you would have met Mr. Thompson earlier. He's Principal Thompson. And beside me is my partner in crime. This is the Energizer Bunny, Mrs. Ivy. And she's the one who is instrumental in setting up the space this morning, not me. All right? So we are sharing a tribute with you in the perspective of this school, right? So tribute to Michael Foulston. I have been informed by the Gabbiton Hiring Agency that you have a vacancy for a chemistry teacher as of September 1968. I am presently in charge of the chemistry and general studies department at a high school here in Istanbul. It is my wish to find a similar post in the West Indies for when my contract here expires in August. It would be very interested to hear, let me correct that, I would be very interested to hear more about the position you have available. Perhaps if I give you a brief description of myself and my career to date, it would be of assistance. I am 27 years of age, single, and hold a honors degree in chemistry. After graduating from Leeds University in 1962, I joined Unilever as a research chemist. I took charge of a laboratory and 6 junior chemists who were involved in the development of new methods of analysis and in the formulation of new products. After several years, I found the industry was not as appealing as expected, so decided to branch into teaching. I came to Istanbul to teach English for the British Council here, which I did for 8 months before being offered my present position. I teach all the chemistry here, from the elementary stage up to the university entrance level, plus also general science. Now, the above represents an extract from a letter dated March 2022, 1968, penned by Mr. Mike John Foulston, British citizen, to the then principal Mortimer Geddes. A collection of letters chronicles a chain of communication between Principal Mortimer Geddes and Mr. Foulston as he explored coming to Jamaica and indeed Titchfield High School to teach. As for Mr. Geddes, he was trying to determine Mr. Foulston's eligibility as a chemistry teacher and make plans with the school board as well as the Ministry of Labor for work permit under the special recruitment scheme. Following his employment on September 1, 1968, Mr. Foulston traveled back to England every summer, returning mid-September in the new school year with Ministry of Labor work permit to teach. During his return to England each summer, he would inquire on behalf of the school matters pertaining to the sitting of the O and A level examinations offered by Cambridge. He would also source economics and science books that were difficult to find in Jamaica and would mail or tape them back to Jamaica on his return. In September 1977, Mr. Foulston was appointed head of the science department, where he supervised 9 teachers. Additionally, he supervised the 5th and 6th form teachers, served as one of the staff advisors to the prefect body, as well as home master, and helped with the planning and execution of sports in the school. Mr. Foulston was a soft-spoken individual with a calm demeanor. He did not need to raise his voice to elicit the right response from students, nor to earn the cooperation and respect from his colleagues. However, despite his quiet demeanor, he was very effective at his job. With 32 years of service here at Titchfield High School, Mr. Foulston served under the leadership of 3 principals: Principal Mortimer Geddes, Principal Lloyd O'Chain, and Principal Thaxter, who would have addressed us earlier, with all of whom he had a great professional, and we're learning from Sir Thaxter, personal relationships. Despite Mr. Foulston's expertise in the subject area and his value to the organization in the services he provided, there came a time when the word retirement began to be whispered. The sound of the word became quite loud for Mr. Foulston when on May 5, 2000, he went on 8 months pre-retirement leave, which transitioned into full retirement on May 5, 2021. However, retirement did not dictate the end of the teaching career for Mr. Foulston. Long after 2021, Mr. Foulston returned to the grounds of Titchfield High School on an annual basis, particularly during the winter periods in his homeland, to have classes with our current students. This he did despite his own medical challenges and would only stop because he was physically unable to do so. Now, my principal's personal encounter with Mr. Foulston was mostly after his retirement on his many trips to the school for extracurricular classes, extra chemistry classes, I apologize. Those encounters were also pleasant, always pleasant, warm, and the conversations were mostly in relation to the performance of our co-curricular teams. He had a keen interest in their success and would often offer encouraging words and subtle suggestions in the form of questions. He truly saw Titchfield High School as family and maintained a close connection with many past students. Today, I see you all here. We want to continue to encourage you to help to maintain his rich legacy of success. And as a school, we will continue to maintain his rich legacy of success in the sciences. Dr. Shirley would have spoken a while ago. She is one of his products, and she has committed to maintaining that legacy. I am indeed humbled. Yes, give her a round of applause, please. While I read, I will speak on behalf of all three of us. We are indeed humbled and honored that we're able to pay tribute to a stalwart of the education system, a beacon of the United Kingdom, which shone in Portland, who was able, through Titchfield High School, to impact our lives as he served with passion, dignity, and class in his capacities of teacher, head of the science department, and sports master. While the family members of Mr. Foulston are not here, I learned that some of them are watching online. And I'm sure that someone from within this space, particularly Mr. Ingleton, will share with them how much Mr. Foulston was loved and respected as a member of the Titchfield High School family. Therefore, on behalf of the Board of Governors, Principal Thompson, Mrs. Ivy, and I, the staff, the student of Titchfield High School, we express sincere condolences and ask that we all continue to cherish his memories, which we hold dear. May his soul rest in peace and light perpetual shine upon him. I thank you.
That was beautiful. And on behalf of all the past students, friends, and family, and those online watching, Mr. Thompson, we want to thank you for giving us this privilege to share this moment. May God ever bless you. Thank you. Let's give him a hand. I think that last speech is a good way of ending everything. So we're going to sing Amen. You know it? Amen. Come on now. One more time. Some more action. Eh. Eh. One more time. Eh. One more time, but a bit louder. Let's break the speakers. One more time, louder.
Two things. Instead of whispering to him, I'll just tell you. Couple of quick announcements. There are some souvenir T-shirts at the back. And as we mentioned before, the tuck shop has been left open specifically for you lots. So please do support the tuck shop. And finally, we have a tribute book for anybody who wants to just sign, leave your contact details, whatever. That's going around at the moment. Please do put your names in it.
Give yourself a hand.
And that his sister and his two nephews that you share the book with.
And also, for everybody here, as part of the 240th celebrations, tomorrow is the sports day where we're looking for all the past students to be up at the school competing. Maybe the weather will limit what we can do, but we want you all here. We want you all competing and look forward to seeing you, okay?
And the book of condolence will be given to Mike's sister and his two nephews. As for me, goodbye everyone, and thank you. Don't forget the class of the 70s. Come, let's take this picture. '60s and '70s together.
You cannot leave without signing the book.
Yeah.
You're gonna be in prison here.
You cannot leave without signing the book. So all those that went to Titchfield in the 60s and 70s,
Yeah, great job, man. Yeah, great job. You got a great job.
thank you.
Proud of you. Proud of you. Proud of you. Wait. Let me guess. It's right here.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
Okay, the 90s are at the front. Can the 90s come quickly, please? We have to do this quickly. The 90s are already at the front. So we're going to ask the 90s to come quickly. We have to do